What's up, guys? I am Alex with BFE Adventures, and today I'm going to be comparing these two bad boys, the T7 and the 690. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so I personally battled back and forth between these two bikes for months before I decided which one I was going to get. And you might look behind me and see, well, these are two totally different bikes. This is an adventure bike and this is a big dirt bike. And you would be correct. But here's the thing. I know if there's somebody out there that is in my position that I was, and this video is for you. Okay, so if you're looking at either one of these bikes and you're wondering which way to go with them, hopefully this will help tip you one way or the other. Okay, so I'll start by saying this is my tried and true steed. This is the one that I actually ultimately chose first. One, we needed to add another rental bike to the stable for BFE Adventures, and two, I was just tired of chewing up dual sport tires commuting. So that's why this one got added to the stable. So going back to the 690, I'll tell you I'll start by explaining the quick pros and cons of this bike, quick pros and cons of this bike, and then kind of like an integrated comparison of the two. So as you know, I like to talk about the visceral experience of riding a bike. Okay, so the best way I would describe these two is the 690 is, now I'm not comparing it to 500s, 350s. This is not comparable in my opinion. This is a big dirt bike. This is a small adventure bike. That's like the easiest way to sum them up. This bike is extremely powerful for its weight. It's 74 horsepower, 350 pounds. This thing is a riot hooligan machine. It wheelies whenever you want. It slides whenever you want. It does whatever you want. It's a monster, okay? This bike is the smoothest, most streamlined adventure bike I've ever ridden as far as just the motor and how it puts the power down. It's incredible. It actually has virtually almost the same exact horsepower as this bike, but it's 100 pounds heavier. So with that 100 pounds though, you get more fuel range, you get a more comfortable riding position and a more comfortable seat, even though the seat's still, you just get like a bigger windscreen, obviously. You get more ability to carry bigger stuff on the back. The bike's just set up for taking a road trip. Compared to this, is more like a day trip. So that's like general comparison. So now talking more about, let's talk just motor first. This motor, super powerful. It builds really well. It's like I won't say it's revvy, but it definitely it's got grunt. It's freaking 700 or 700 cc or 600 whatever 99 cc thumper. So it's going to have low end grunt. Don't get me wrong, but it really winds out about halfway up the RPM range. So that's how the power comes on. It is not happy going slow. It is a flowy woods bike. So like when people are asking me comparison like this or a 500 EXC, just staying in the KTM realm, I just tell them, like, are you doing slow single track or flowy single track? If you're doing flowy and bigger and you want a road bike, this is the one to get. If you're doing technical and flowy single track and harder, then get a 500, especially if you're not doing road stuff, or get a 350 or any of the two-stroke counterparts. But for the reason I bought this bike was because most of my trips are within 2 hours of distance for me, and with two kids now, I really only get the opportunity to go for day rides or even like 4 or 5 hour morning rides, and outside of that I'm going on tours with BFE Adventures. So like those are the only main things that I'm doing with this. So I don't need as much of a big ADV bike like I used to have, because we're not riding all the way to Tennessee or all the way to Colorado or all the way to Utah like we did. Now from Illinois, Now I'm just around here. So that's why I ultimately got this. So anyway, to go back to this, the power is good for flowy and up, like gravel roads. It's great. You can find traction really well. It's got 2 ride modes, like an on and off road. The off road traction control is actually really, really good. It allows you to slide it a little bit without getting too crazy. It allows you to like carry the front end over stuff. But if you keep that front end up long enough, eventually it's going to mouse trap you back down. Ask me how I know. But overall, this is just a powerful, big dirt bike motor-wise. This one is a sewing machine. It's so smooth. It sounds so good when you're going slower. When you're cruising highway speed, it's so smooth and quiet. It's like nothing's running underneath of you. I cannot get over how smooth this bike is. But anyway, motor-wise, like I said, same power, 100 pounds more. So this motor is not exciting like this one is. It's just, well, you can make it exciting, don't get me wrong, but it's just good. And it's one of those, like the old saying, it's better to ride a slow bike fast than a fast bike slow. It is more fun to push this bike than it is to try and ride that one slow. So just take that as you will. Because of the motor being so linear, you don't need traction control. It doesn't have it. You don't need it. It's so good at maintaining traction, and you can get way down in the gear and crawl out of it. Compared to this one, it does not like that. So as far as like luggability and just friendly user ability, this one's better. Like if I had a buddy that was just getting into this segment, I actually said it on the T7 video, and they were trying to get into the ADV market and they were in this realm, I would actually tell them to go with the T7. If they're going to be doing a lot of commuting, or like if they're going to be using this bike utilitarian style, like for a little bit of everything, I would tell them to get this because it's so much more user friendly. This bike is better off-road. It's lighter, it's easier to pick up and like all of that. But if they're not doing aggressive off-road, this is going to be better in most of those other scenarios. So that being said, my favorite between the two is still this one because it is just so much dang fun. So now we'll talk about suspension. Not even a contest. This suspension is better in every single way. It just is. It's even still soft. Like I push this thing hard, and whenever I'm pushing it hard, I still find the limits of the suspension. This bike, I don't typically take it out whenever I'm riding hard. I take that one. So if you push this one hard, you will find the limits of the suspension very early. I'm 170 pounds. As long as I'm riding just with a group of people that I'm not really like pushing it, this is totally fine, totally supple. So if you're under 200 pounds and you're not going to be pushing it, this bike's totally fine in the suspension department. I know that everybody says how soft it is. If you're over 200 pounds, you should really look into stiffening up the springs pretty quickly because it's just not built to handle that weight. And then by the time you add luggage and everything else, you're going to notice. So that's what I would say comparing the two in the suspension department. As far as ergonomics, these bikes feel totally different. This is an adventure bike. This is a big dirt bike. You sit on top of it. The gas tank is in the back. So like there's nothing in front of you. There's no wind protection. I put this rally kit on here, which I highly recommend. Love this thing. But it feels like you're on a dirt bike. You're on top of the seat. You're on top of the bike. You're in that aggressive forward stance. It's just totally different. This is a big dirt bike. This is an adventure bike. This one feels like you're sitting in it. It's got a huge gas tank. It's top heavy. It's just everything is big and in front of you. It's nothing like the 1000 cc plus bikes. Those are like a car cockpit in front of you. This one still feels like you're on a motorcycle at least, but compared to the 690, it's huge in the front. Now, that being said, the best way to describe the riding experience, this feels like you ride it. This feels like you pilot it. Yeah, I like that. So like this, you're sitting on top of it and riding it. This, you're sitting in it and piloting it. It's smooth. It just goes where you want it to go. That's the best way I can describe it. This is like a barrel of monkeys. You sit on it, twist the throttle, and make sure that you point it in the right direction when you do it. what's the other stuff I want to talk about? Oh, roadability. So we kind of talked about off-road characteristics, or motor. I've alluded to the off-road stuff a lot. Now we'll talk on-road, and then I'll lightly touch on the off-road again. On-road, as you would expect, this is way better. The motor's way smoother. It cruises at 80 miles an hour, a heck of a lot easier than this one does. There's just no comparison. This feels like a big dirt bike. I have still taken this, 2 hours one way multiple times, but by the time I get off of it, I'm ready to get off of it. This, I could ride this for 2 hours and be ready to rip as soon as I get there or get home. I mean, it's so much smoother and comfier on the road. It cruises so much easier. You don't notice the difference in power on the road, really. If you're going under 50, yeah, this thing's a barrel of monkeys on a back road. This is not like that. But when you're cruising on the highway, you can't really tell. They both pass a car just fine. So we'll leave it at that. As you could imagine, the wind protection on this is a million times better than this. It's still not great for me, but this is different for everyone. It just depends on how the wind buffets on your helmet. So with my helmet, and I'm 5'9", 5'10" on a good day when I eat my Wheaties, it catches my helmet in a bad way. And I definitely hear the buffeting on this bike more than this one even. And I don't really know why. This has more wind protection. So the wind is off of me way more on this bike, but I hear it way more, if that makes sense. Whereas this bike, it's definitely on my shoulders and I feel it more, but I don't hear it. So take that with what you will. And then lastly, as far as off-road stuff, the best way I can describe it, past what I've already described it as, I compare adventure bikes to my what's the word I'm looking for? My ability to send it down something. So like I said this in other videos before, like when I had my GS, for example, or Super Tenere, if there was something super steep, I was at least going to sit there and contemplate whether or not I wanted to go down there, because I'd have to try and figure out a way to get that back up. Then, I ended up with the Africa Twin or like the 1190. Those two bikes, as long as I can see that there is a way to get the bike back out, I'm trying it. And then, you step down even farther into this category. In this bike, I'm willing to try almost anything, unless it's like some crazy single track that I can't see the bottom of it. That's where I'd maybe get a little more apprehensive. Whereas this, I'm trying it no matter what. I don't really care. I will try this on anything I would take a dirt bike on. Am I going to do it as quickly or as gracefully? Absolutely not. But I will still try it on this. This, I would not. So I know there's plenty of people. I mean, Poltaris raced hard enduro on this. I would not. So, and I'm just an average rider. So take that with what you will. So like I said, if it's single track or something that's aggressive, I'll take this on flowy single track, but anything tighter than that or real hilly, real like rocky and tree rooted and that kind of stuff, that's where I'm going to hesitate. I would take this in a heartbeat over this. So that's pretty much it as like an overall comparison. I hope I kind of got to the point, and I hope this helps you guys out. So the last thing I'll speak to is you directly, if you're looking at trying to buy one of these. And the truth of the matter boils down to how much off-road are you doing, how much on-road are you doing, and how often do you want to swap the tires? That's really what it boils down to. On-road ability, if 60+% of your time is on-road, like commuting to work, just cruising with your buddies on the weekend with street bikes, and then 40% is exploring gravel roads and dirt roads and two-track and Jeep trails, get this one. You're going to like this one more, honestly. Pardon me. If you are a more experienced rider and you want to ride more aggressively, or like you want to be able to ride occasionally with your 500 buddies, but still, ride to work, then I would go with this bike. If you want to go ride wheelies on a back road, not that I condone that, I would go with this bike. Like if you're just wanting like a fun hooligan machine that you can commute to work on, I would get this one. If you are looking for a road trip bike, it would make sense that this would be the one. If you're looking for a fun weekend warrior bike, this would make more sense. And what I mean in regards to the tires, the main reason I got this bike was because this thing eats tires like it's its job. Every time you twist the throttle, you can just like see dollar bills flying out the back of your bike from all the rubber that you peel off of it. So I just got tired of ripping out dual sport tires all the time. Like with the riding that I do on this bike, I'm going to have a dual sport tire on it at all times. So ultimately, I tear these to pieces. This bike, with the way that I ride it, I'm going to get a slightly more road bias tire than that. And so this bike will go, 3,500 miles on a tire change. This will go 1,500 to 2,000, so almost twice as often. So that's something else to consider. So other than that, it really just boils down to what your budget is, what your fun factor is, and your primary use. I think most of the time, I'm guilty of this. That's why I'm saying it. You see these videos, these promo videos, like I can't even ride this like Chris Birch rides a 1290. Okay, so like it's kind of silly to see these videos of these bikes and then think, okay, well, I'm going to go ride like that. Well, be honest with yourself. If you want to be happy with the bike, you need it to be the most useful for you. And I've fallen into this trap as well. So that's why I'm telling you this. Like, get a bike that is most useful for your lifestyle. And then if your lifestyle changes, that's when you change your bike. And then you're just happy all the time. If you're getting a bike because it's cool and it's fast and yada, 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 and the reviews were neat, but it doesn't fit your riding style, ultimately, you're going to swap it out anyway, and you're probably going to lose money on it. And just in the end, you're going to be happier if you get the bike that may not look as cool or may not like really tickle your fancy, but if you get the one that is more practical based on, people that have really used the bikes and how they use them, and then go off of that. So anyway, hope that helps you guys out. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I try to reply to every single one of them. If you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing to the channel, that helps me more than you know. And if you'd ever like to take a tour or do a training tour with BFE Adventures, you can check us out at bfeadventures.com. We're currently booking for this year tour dates, so check us out, and I'd be happy to get on a call with you guys and get you booked. So either way, hope you guys got some value from this, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.